Welcome to Beyond the Badge, Healing for First Responders, where we dive deep into real issues affecting our heroes on the front lines. Now, I'm your host, Adam, and today we're going to tackle the topic that hits close to home for many in law enforcement: the impact of stigma on mental health. Now, imagine waking up every day ready to face the pressures of a high-stress job, only to feel like you have to put on a brave face, even when you're struggling inside. Today, we're exploring why stigma around mental health in law enforcement persists and how it creates barriers for our officers seeking the support they need. Now, we'll discuss the fear of being labeled as weak or unfit and why recognizing mental health challenges as a normal response is crucial for breaking down these barriers. We'll also highlight the importance of challenging and changing that narrative around mental health, emphasizing that struggles do not diminish an officer's capabilities. Plus, I'm going to provide practical steps on how you can take action to foster open conversations about mental health within your team, so that if you've ever felt isolated or unsure about reaching out for help, stick around because this episode might be for you. So let's get started. Now, the nice thing is in 2025 here, the stigma around mental health is starting to deteriorate. It is starting to go down. But when we want to break that stigma, we have to begin to understand these challenges, that they're not a sign of weakness, but they are a very natural response to the high stress situations that we as officers face daily and as first responders. Right? The fear of being perceived as weak or unfit for duty is a significant barrier that we face. Right? We don't want to seek help. We don't want to go, okay, well, I'm struggling right now. Right? I couldn't sleep last night because I just keep thinking about this experience I've been through. Right? In a profession that we often prioritize is strength and resilience and the ability to manage high stress situations, right? There's a very pervasive belief that acknowledging mental health challenges may be a sign of vulnerability, right? This fear can lead to reluctance to seek that help. And you might worry as a first responder about the potential impact. If you go and talk to somebody, you're like, well, what will someone think about me? Will I get an advance in my career? Will this label stick with me for the rest of my career? Will people look at me differently? Will people, an example would be going to a high stress situation and having officers look at you and going, ooh, that guy's suffering with mental health right now. Do you think he should be at this scene? And that's why we don't. We're like, well, what if they think like that? But in many cases, right, we're often concerned that admitting can be viewed as less capable, right? Actually, it's not. It's not, right? Even sometimes if we go in and we're like, look, I need help. I'm struggling. And it's like, well, maybe they're going to remove me from active duty, right? Or maybe they're going to put me on desk duty because I'm not mentally strong enough to do the job. And then again, that doesn't help you reach out, right? This stigma is deeply, deeply rooted because there's still officers out there who have been around for years. And this is within, corrections, law enforcement, probably firefighting, all the first responders out there. And they're like, look, I don't need help. I'm good, right? And they feel like if you do, you're weak. But by not addressing these issues, it only exasperates the problem, right? It only adds to it. There's an example that I always use in my teachings, and it's, imagine yourself right now wearing a backpack, okay? A nice 5'11" backpack we'll throw on. And each traumatic experience, each situation that you faced, take a rock, just a hand-sized rock, and put it in your backpack. And just feel that weight. And now add another situation and put another rock in there, put another rock in there, put another rock. And over the years, because you're like, I don't want to get help with this. I can't. I have to appear strong. I have to appear that I can make it through this. And you're adding this weight, and then finally you break. Because our mindset, our emotions aren't equipped to handle this amount of stress, aren't equipped to handle this amount of hurt. My friends, we need to seek help. And when you begin to overcome this fear of the stigma, it really requires a cultural shift within law enforcement agencies. It really requires that shift in recognizing that mental health is as important as your physical health, right? We see people in the gym all the time, but how many people do you see meditating or doing breathing techniques or grounding techniques or all these different techniques that are available for people to work on their mental health? So when we can begin to foster an environment where officers feel safe to discuss their mental health without fear of judgment, right, we can begin to break down these stigmas around it. We have to recognize that mental health struggles are common. I'm going to say that 95% of officers, of first responders, have some level of mental health struggles. You may not have the place where you're diagnosed with PTSD, or maybe you self-diagnose with PTSD because you know that that is how you push through. But when you're allowed to talk about this, this is going to change. You're not weak. You still have the abilities that you had when you went through basic training. They're probably even more enhanced now. And putting in the experiences that you have, you're able to respond. But you have to work on your mental health, and you have to show others. Don't be scared of what people think about you. Don't be scared of thinking that you're weak. Or we have to, as officers, change this, right? When officers and their peers understand that mental health issues are a normal part of human experience, particularly in such a demanding field, it can really reduce the shame, the isolation often that's associated with these struggles. This recognition allows us as officers to view our mental health within the same seriousness and care as the world would about their physical health, right? And most of the times officers go to the gym every single day, right? But just as you might get injured and you have physical injuries, these are treated and rehabilitated. Mental health should be approached with the same level of attention and support. And acknowledging mental health struggles can actually enhance an officer's performance and resilience, right? When we receive the appropriate support, right, we're better equipped to manage our stress. We're better equipped to process trauma, to maintain our overall well-being. And this in turn will lead to more effective policing and job performance in whatever you are doing. Because when you're mentally focused and you're mentally healthy, you're more alert and you're more capable of making sound decisions under pressure. I looked up some data on the number of law enforcement who have PTSD, who claim to have PTSD, and the ones that are actually getting diagnosed because of it. Now, this number is so challenging to figure out because the stigma. Most people don't know or don't want to admit to having PTSD. But the people that do, there's about 10 to 20% of officers who experience PTSD at some point in their career. But because of the stigma around it, these people aren't always coming forward. I personally feel that this number is a lot higher. Right? These exact numbers that they're doing are only the people that are coming forward, or only the people that are saying, look, I need help. They don't care about weakness. They know that their mental health, they know that the things that they want on their days off are more important than what they want on their days on. They want to be there on shift too, to protect their fellow officers, and they can only do that with a sound mindset. They don't care what people think about them, because they know that your life is more important than what you have thought. If I can get the help mentally, then I can be there to help you physically and support you within the job. Think about that. Take some time right now and think about that. If you get help mentally, or you have a coworker that is scared to get help, but you know there's something going on, and they're going to be better to back you up than if they fight through the stigma. So you have to begin to normalize these mental health conversations, right? Encourage open dialogue about mental health. Tell them, hey, how you doing today? Or, hey, I noticed that, you're a little off. What's going on, right? And maybe if you are someone, because this is how I have always done it. I've struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder. I've struggled with different things within my life, but I've gotten help for them. And I say, look, I went through struggles in my life, but I've done grounding techniques. I've done meditation, and these things have helped with me. What are some of the things that you're going through, if you're open to talk about that? What are some of the things have you ever tried meditation? Have you ever tried journaling? Because these help me. Maybe they'd help you. And that's how you begin to normalize that conversation, right? Empower individuals to take initiative, right? You have to encourage people and be like, look, mental health is a real thing. And again, I'm so thankful that it's 2025 and that it's more talked about. I know that when I started my law enforcement career in 2008, the stigma around it was so huge. You don't admit, you don't cry at work, you don't get emotional, right? These are the different things. And now you're okay to be emotional. You're okay to be a human being. And it absolutely is life-changing. So I want to give you some practical steps to begin to encourage open conversations. So first is you make regular mental health check-ins a habit, right? Take time every day, regularly, to check in with yourself mentally. Set aside a few moments each week to assess how you felt emotionally or mentally, right? Consider journaling, right? I have a specific journal that all I write is when I deal with an incident, I write in that journal. That's my incident journal. And I get it out of my head, get it on paper, and I can read how I did, what I did, how I made it through, how I felt. And then I'll go check in a week later, a month later, and again, help myself to understand what I went through and if I'm growing, right? The impact of this is regular self-assessments will help you stay in tune with your mental health. And then it'll make it easier to recognize when you actually need that additional support. Because every situation is not going to require you to go to a counselor. It's not going to require you to go to a therapist. But if you're paying attention, okay, I'm at a point now that these things are shifting, and I think I should. Right? Begin to encourage and peer support. Reach out to a colleague that you trust and start a conversation about how you're feeling and maybe you're handling stress. Offer your support and be willing to listen. Maybe someone comes to you. Right? Just, hey, man, you're not doing... after shift, are you good to go for coffee? And I just want to talk to you about some stuff. Right? It's that simple to have a conversation. Show that you care about your partners out there, my friends. It's not about helping them. It's just about building a network where you can share your own experiences without judgment, knowing that you're not alone, and maybe that'll get them to open up. There's also confidential mental health resources, right? In Canada, we have something called EAP, and it definitely helps you. It's a free number, and I know within the United States there's a free number. In other countries, you just call that number, and there's someone always there ready to listen. Very confidential. Do it. You call when you need. Educate yourself. So important to know what you're going through, right? Take an initiative to learn about mental health. Read articles, attend workshops. You're listening to this podcast, so this is a great action that you're taking to educate yourself, because these are going to educate you. I will have PDFs that you will be able to download at the end of all of these podcasts, and they will help you enhance even more skills to create. Maybe you're someone who has gone through it and now you want to be a mental health advocate. Open up. Share your experiences, your steps of how you made it through. This will encourage others. Maybe you create a personal mental health plan, right? You develop a PMH, and this includes activities that you enjoy, regular activities, stress activities, things like this. This will truly help you begin to create that. And within the PDF for today, that's what I'm going to give you. I mean, there's going to be a PDF that helps you to create that personal action mental health plan. And then one of the final steps to really create that life and to really encourage open conversations is to prioritize a work-life balance. Work is only one part of your life, my friends. You have to set these boundaries between work and between your personal life. You know, someone once said to me that, and I don't know how it is within policing, but within corrections, you're kind of a number, right? And I do these podcasts because I want to feel proud. I want to have that thing I'm going for, the people I can help. Because, you know, inmates, when they're in jail, you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped. And most of these people don't want your help, especially as someone in uniform. So I have to find something on my own where I can have that work-life balance and really create that life that I want. So my friends, find something. Find something that you can really create in your life that gives you meaning, that gives you purpose outside of your job. And by taking these steps for yourself, you're not only going to improve your mental health, but you're also going to contribute to a more open and supportive culture within your team, right? It's all about being proactive, taking care of yourself, and encouraging others to do the same. Now, that wraps up today's episode of Beyond the Badge, Healing for First Responders. I've taken a hard look at the stigma surrounding mental health in law enforcement, discussed some of the impacts, and explored how we can begin to dismantle it. So remember, acknowledging mental health struggles is not a sign of weakness, but it's a testament to your strength and your resilience. My friends, breaking the stigma starts with you, right? As Gandhi says, be the change you want to see in the world. By normalizing these conversations around mental health, and by taking proactive steps to support yourself and your colleagues, you, my friend, contribute to a culture where everyone feels safe and validated. If you're that person that people come to, that's going to change their life and it's going to change yours. But remember, make regular mental health check-ins. Engage in the peer support that's offered there. Advocate with this open dialogue. Every action counts. But thank you, my friends. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy day to tune in. So if you found today's valuable, please subscribe. Leave a review. Share with those who might benefit from this. And remember, my friends, you are not alone. Help is out there, and it's okay to reach out. So until next time, stay strong, stay connected, and keep striving for a thriving life.